Welcome to the Pure Pendulum. Everything that you want is already tuned to a frequency. Change yours and watch everything find you. What does it mean when people talk about frequency? Right? Maybe you've heard this term being thrown around here and there in the spiritual community. And how do you actually apply this in a practical sense in this three-dimensional world? Well, the first thing that you have to understand when it comes to frequency is attracting what you want, whatever it is: more money, more women, a better lifestyle, a better, meaningful life, okay? Material things, spiritual things. It all boils down to you tuning into the correct frequency. So I want you to think about the Wi-Fi bar, right? You know the signal where it goes up like that. Let's take this image and think about this. Okay? Your Wi-Fi in your phone, obviously it needs to have a strong frequency. And that is going to result in better connection, faster internet, you know, you just having a better life in general. Because if you don't have Wi-Fi, if you don't got connection and data, you're screwed. It's like the caveman back in the day when he needed the fire so that he could survive and actually live his life. You as a person in this year 2026, you need to have Wi-Fi, you need to have data. You working, you need to have Wi-Fi, right? If you're trying to slide in some DMs and get some girls to come pull up on you, you need data. You need that Wi-Fi. You need security. Everything. I don't care who you are. You need to have that connection. So same as that Wi-Fi, you as a person need to raise your frequency if you want to attract the things that you want. And that's why it's important, right? So keep that in mind when you're thinking about that. You are that Wi-Fi signal. And what you have to understand is that you as a person, you're constantly at every second of the waking day, you're constantly projecting a signal out into the world. Since the day you were born up until this very moment, you're constantly doing that. And that's what's always attracting the same things that you've been used to. Okay? So your frequency is that signal that you're giving out to the world. Now, just like the Wi Fi on the phone, the better the quality of your signal, the better and the faster your internet speed, and the better quality of the pixels, or everything is just so much cleaner and higher quality, the better your signal is. Same thing with your frequency that you're giving out to the world. The stronger that signal is and the cleaner, the better the quality, the better the quality of things that you want to attract into your life, whether that's quality of relationships with people, um, more money, right? More abundance in other things, quality of life in general. It's all going to depend on that frequency that you're putting out. Now, this is really going to get a bit metaphysical here, but it's an important point to understand is that solid matter is not actually fixed in a static sense. Okay, let's take this pen for example. Okay, this pen is solid. Like I'm holding it now, right? This phone, everything, that you can see and touch and feel in this world at a microscopic level is solid matter is mostly just empty space of particles just floating around in a fixed position. So in a metaphysical and like quite literal sense, this this pen at a very very microscopic level is literally just open space of very 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 tiny atomic particles just floating around in one position. Now, this is an important note to keep in mind because everything that's created in this three-dimensional world started as a thought idea, right? It was an idea from somebody, some inventor or creator, whatever. They had this idea of creating this thing, and they took it out of this thought energy and crystallized it into a physical book or whatever that we see now today. Okay, keep this in mind because we're going to circle back to this point later, but just understand that everything has a frequency already. everything everything in this world. Now, we've we've come to this point now that your frequency is basically your signal and that energy that you're putting out to this world, right? Your energy and your vibration, your vibe is everything. Is everything. People, before you even open your mouth, your energy is already speaking for you. People can feel it instantly on a primal level. There's this thing called the 7-second rule, which is basically within the first few seconds of interacting and meeting somebody, there's like a primitive part of your brain, like the reptilian side of your brain, is just firing off. And it's already making very, very, like small calculations of judgments of do I trust this person? Do I not trust this person? Like you've already made a decision of where you want to take this relationship with this person in the first few seconds. You're making those judgments on other people and they're making it on you. And it's all based off of that energy and vibration you're giving off when you're interacting with them. Whenever, like, the last time you went to a party and, when you meet somebody and you're thinking to yourself, like, this person's kind of weird, like, eh, you know, they're all right. And the other people, you're just like, oh yeah, this person's cool. Like, I can like vibe with this person. Um, all of these kinds of things is going on in your mind, and it's because of the energy and the vibration you give off. So now that we understand that energy, vibration is all that signal that influences your frequency that you're giving out um, to the world and the environment that you're in, you want to think about a car. How how can you make a car go faster? Right? There's a million different ways you can do it. But the easiest thing is the lighter the car, the faster it's going to go. The more weight that a car carries, it's going to be slowed down, right? So, in order for you to have a faster connection in your frequency and just start attracting a lot more of those things that you want to start to audit the types of tasks that are not in alignment with the lifestyle that you want to live in the end. Okay? This is where you want to be absolutely ruthless with your time and selfish with your energy. If you are trying to build a business, but you're slowed down by doing some other volunteer stuff that you don't necessarily have to be there, bro, just cut it off, man. Um, If you want to focus on your career so that you can be more of an entertainer and work on your skill set and your stage performance. But you have to go and, do a favor for somebody, and it's like a reoccurring thing. Like, you have to let go of anything that is really just not in alignment. You have to let go of anything that is not in alignment with you getting closer to your end goal. Okay? Same thing as that car. You want to let go of all that weight that's just slowing you down so that you can move faster. And another thing that's very important when it comes to having a strong signal, having a strong frequency, is the noise. Okay? There's signal, and then there's noise. And the noise is just something that's disrupting that whole that whole signal and that connection from taking place is noise. And noise is basically a lot of distractions, right? Um, a lot of this comes from the inputs that you have, most of which come from things like social media or other people, right? This is all noise, just distracting you and taking you off your focus. And when these things get real close with your mental and your focus, again, your frequency quality starts to diminish. And by extension, it's going to lead to you having lower quality results. So that's another thing you really gotta just start to audit, right? Go on your YouTube, okay? Go to your home and just look at all the kinds of recommended videos that come up on your YouTube feed. Same with your Instagram and other social networks that you use, but your Discover page on Instagram, your homepage on YouTube, just look at all the random videos that pop up. But don't make judgments, just observe it from a very neutral standpoint. And start to ask yourself these questions. If I consume more of these types of content, is this going to strengthen my frequency and give me a better signal? Or is this going to diminish my quality and lower my frequency? Ask yourself this question. If the answer is yes, it is going to do more harm than good, then it's best to just really start to clean up these areas. Clean up the discovery page, clean up your YouTube algorithm so that you have less noise and having a cleaner signal. Because the cleaner your signal is, the faster your frequency starts to move and thus attracting more of what you actually want. So make sure that all of that is in alignment, because that's going to pull you closer in the direction that you ultimately want to go. Okay? That's how you actually magnetize that pull with where you are now to where you ultimately want to be. Okay? This is how you put all of this in a very very practical sense. Like, you're going to attract the life that you want faster when the frequency that you give off is strong enough. And that only happens after you start to cut out all the noise, all of the distractions, all the things weighing you down, and really just start to strengthen that signal. Okay, so um, I want us to circle back to the point that I made earlier, right? The metaphysical point that all objects have their own frequency. Okay? This pen, this phone, everything. This microphone here, the car you drive, the house you live in, the people around you, all these things are already tuned to a specific frequency. Now, this is a really, really big pro tip. Like, how do you manifest much faster? How do you attract much faster? Because nobody's trying to wait 10 years to actually get there. You want to get there faster. Now, the biggest pro tip, and I heard this from one mentor that I had before, he said the fastest way to change your situation is to um, change your environment. Okay, be around the people that have that which you seek. Be around things that you actually appreciate. When you're around the vicinity, it's just going to change your frequency so much. Because I used to live in an area that was just this is like the eye of the storm of the city, right? This is where all the parties happen. This is where like a lot of drama happens, and I was right there in the middle of it because that's just where I was living, and obviously a lot of low vibrational, low quality things. It was just my normal because that's just what I was surrounded by. But after I moved into a different place, like different neighborhood, I started to go different places for simple things like where I go to cut my hair, where I go to eat, things like that. Obviously, it just shifted a perspective in me, and it's just one step, right? Because there's levels to this game. But if you're at a point where changing your environment, because it is a drastic thing, right? If you're at a point where, okay, this is not really possible for me at this moment, then what you want to do is simply just little by little start to make those steps towards being around people and places that are radiating that frequency that you want to be at and attracting the things you want. So for example, what you can do is you can go to a lounge at a high-end hotel or some kind of luxurious place if that's what you want more of, right? If you want more abundance of money, finances, higher quality of things, go to go to a place you normally would go, right? If you usually drink coffee at a Starbucks or just like any kind of random cafe, like one day just for fun, just go to a cafe at a very like top floor um suite hotel, whatever. Like just go to the lounge and just get a drink there and just be around that area and soak up the energy and feel your vibration and the frequency. Just feel it. Like you're gonna feel it subtly start to turn and twist, and you feel this different feeling because you're in an area where the frequency is different, the signal is different, people around there, everything is just giving off a different signal. And you being in that little environment, it's going to affect you, obviously in a positive way, because we're talking about higher quality. So little by little, start to just make these little steps. Go to a lounge, just order a drink. Um, you know, just go to these places and just be there, and you'll feel that. So that's just a very very simple action step that I'll leave you with. Um, you know, the whole point of this is how can you make this practical in a very very practical sense in your life. Raise your frequency, you get that clear signal, you can start to attract all the things that you want at a much, much faster pace.